I want you to think about this for a second. You already know more grammar than most people who are already fluent. And yet, when you go into a meeting, when you give a presentation, even casual conversations with your boss or with your coworkers, moments that actually matter, by the way, you still feel like something is off, something is wrong. You're not feeling like yourself. You see, the people who sound the most natural aren't the ones who are overthinking grammar or overthinking everything they want to say. No, they're the ones who build the strongest identity in the language. And here's the thing, identity is not something that you study like a book or like rules. No, it's something that you build through exposure, through practice, and through the certain phrases that you choose to use. These phrases become your own. My name is Daniel Cordoba. I'm the owner of DC Fluency, and we've helped hundreds of Latinos to find their personality in English so that they can feel like themselves when they speak English, just like when they speak Spanish. And the best way to do this, I saw, is not by overstudying grammar rules or trying to overthink your mistakes. No, it's by finding your identity. Today, I wanted to show you what that actually looks like in practice. Because understanding the difference between studying fluency and actually building it changes everything on how you move forward. Point 1. Fluency was never about getting the rules right. You see, most people believe that if they just get every single tense right, every single connector perfectly structured, every single thing perfect, then that's going to lead them to speaking more fluently and confidently. And it's not only your mentality, it's because it's what's been taught in schools, in colleges, right? They teach English like a formula, like you're learning science, like you're learning medicine. It's not like you're going to learn physics or you're trying to become a doctor or something. It's a language. It shouldn't be a formula, so to speak. And then eventually they say that once you get all these formulas in your brain, that somehow that is going to equal speaking fluently and like a human. And I get it. It feels like it makes sense because rules are something you can measure. Like I've learned, 25 grammar structures, which means that I'm going to have 25 conversations. Now, here's the thing. It doesn't mean that you are not going to learn grammar structures. Of course, you need structure. But that mentality of, I need to do this structure, I need to make sure everything's perfect. Is it in or is it on? Or is it at? Now, I'm not saying speak the way you want. No, there are rules. There are things that you should follow. But there are certain rules that can be broken without overthinking them. For example, a native might say, I was at the meeting. Or he might say, no, I was in the meeting. What a native does not do is overthink, oh, is it on a meeting or in a meeting? Was it on or was it in? No, because when you start doing this, you think that if I study harder, I'm going to know the difference between in and on, and then I'm going to be more fluent. But this just gets you stuck in a rut. To be stuck in a rut means to be stuck in one place without moving forward. And it just causes you to correct yourself more and more and to overthink your mistakes. And this is worse if you're already a perfectionist. And if you think about it, this is like the main thing everywhere. And all the schools, most colleges, even online courses, they're teaching you this. You got to speak it perfectly. You got to make sure that you get every structure correct. Don't say this on Instagram videos, right? I've made some videos like that before, but then I explain, right? Of course, you can say the basic way, but the native way is better in these situations, for example, right? But here's the thing, you're on Instagram all day and you're looking at all these videos. Oh, don't say this, say this. Colleges, and they're teaching you formulas with 30 people and grammar rules. And then your brain is like, okay, what do I do? The problem is that fluency is not a measurement. It's not a score. It's not the absence of mistakes. Think about the most fluent speaker you know. At work, you're one of your friends. I guarantee you, without a doubt, that they're making mistakes. So what's the difference then? Why is it that they make mistakes, but people don't notice it? Or maybe they're not overthinking it, or they're not really stopping the conversation and apologizing. Oh, I'm sorry. I meant to say in a meeting, not at a meeting. Is it in a meeting or is it at a meeting? Here's the difference between them and you. You're overthinking mistakes. You're thinking my grammar has to be perfect. They're thinking, how do I make this language my own? They're thinking, how can the vocabulary, the phrasal verbs, the idioms, and the structures I use, regardless of mistakes, position me the way I need to be positioned in this meeting or in this conversation or at work or with my friends? And that's what fluency actually is, understanding the social rules about language. The social rules that you've forgotten because you've been overthinking grammar, vocabulary, and all these other things. Again, I have to say, it doesn't mean that grammar and vocabulary are not important. They are. But what's more important is not overthinking these things and focusing on how the phrases you use position you in a way that shows your identity. All these other things, grammar, vocabulary, the tenses, the connectors, and versus it, etc., they're just supporting fluency. They're like, in the movie when you have like the main character, well, the main character is identity. The supporting characters, like the people in the background, that's the, in, on, at, structure, grammar mistakes, etc. Look at how the following student used to feel shy before, but because she was able to find her personality in English, look how she stopped being shy.
And I feel confident after I finish every class because I know that I'm learning something new that I can actually put into practice every day. And I love all the professors are amazing and they want us to get better.
Point 2. So if fluency isn't built on rules, what is it built on? Here's the thing. That question, if you don't have it answered, that's exactly the reason why you are where you are, where most people are where they are with their fluency. And the instinct would be, okay, it's not about the rules, so it has to do with practice. So I just have to practice more. I just have to have more volume. I have to do more. I have to do more of watching movies. I have to watch more Netflix. I have to read the dictionary more. I have to have more conversations. But no, if that were the case, most people would be fluent, right? So it's not about volume, even though volume and practice matters, yes. But here's the thing. You can watch 100 episodes of Friends. You can listen to 1,000 podcasts and still walk into a meeting and feel lost and feel like, what do I say? Or forget everything you wanted to say, that you rehearsed to say, right? This is because consuming a language and building identity are two different things. One is input and the other one is construction. And construction requires intention. What actually builds fluency is intentional exposure to the phrases that will help you transmit your personality into English the same way you're already doing naturally in Spanish. The type of phrases that help you build warmth, that make you sound direct when you need to do it, that makes you sound softer in certain situations, that shows you to be the person who understands others. Anytime a native speaker is speaking, they're not just transmitting words and structures from their brain into the other person's brain. No, that's not all they're doing. They are positioning themselves. Every single phrase, vocabulary, and structure they use is saying something more than just the message. It's saying, I know where I am in this conversation relative to you, right? Compared to you. I know exactly if I'm the manager and you're my coworker, or if you're my manager, you're the superior. How do I expect you to treat me based on the phrases I use? What sort of history do you and I have? Have we known each other for 3 years or have we known each other for 10 seconds? All of these contexts and nuances are transmitted through the phrases you choose to use. And that is what most colleges, most courses do not focus on. They're always focusing on the same thing. Perfecting grammar. In versus at, the colors of the fruit and vegetables. And that's exactly why most professionals feel that gap when they're in a meeting. They don't feel like themselves. Those moments, the meetings, presentations, deep conversations, right? Emotional conversations, speaking to your boss, etc. That's when the gap shows. That's when those phrases that you've learned or haven't learned become visible. A person who's built that strong identity in the language knows exactly when they walk into the room, they signal what they want to signal. They give the impression they want to give. They are treated the way they want to be treated because they're using the right phrases depending on their personality. The good thing is that this is not something people are born with, and if you're not born with it, then forget about it. You'll never be able to learn it. No, this is something that you can actually track. You can actually build deliberately and systematically once you actually understand what your identity is and what your goal is. Look at how the following student was finally able to build the confidence they need to be able to communicate with others in their job. Think about the vocab tracker. Have you ever seen anything like it? What are your thoughts on it?
Not really, not really. I think it's an amazing tool. I mean, I've been looking for something like that for a very long time, I'll say.
Yeah. And what impresses you the most about it, really? Like the vocab lens?
It's just how personalized can it be? Like, I mean, I've been looking for something like that, like, because, at some point in my, career, language journey, that was my main problem. It was like, okay, I know this vocab, know all of this, vocabulary. I know this, how all this information, but I don't really know how to sound more fluent. And I think, a tool like this is it's just amazing. It's giving you the opportunity to just follow up what you've been doing, in a very clear way. I love it.
¿Te identificas con lo que estoy diciendo? By the way, in English, you don't say, do you identify with what I'm saying? No, you say, do you relate to what I'm saying? If you relate to what I'm saying, this is because you understand that there's a gap between who you are in English and who you are in Spanish, and you want to find your personality in English. Click the link down below, schedule a 45 demo session with me to see how we can get you to your goals. Point 3, how identity gets built. The actual process. Now you understand that real fluency is based on identity, but understanding that is completely different than understanding how it actually happens. Because here's the risk. Right now you know what it is, but if you just stay there, okay, I know that if I jump off a cliff, I'm going to die. But then you go and you jump off a cliff. Doesn't matter. Knowledge doesn't matter if you don't do anything with that knowledge. So what I'm going to do now is show you what to do with that knowledge. So it does not happen in one single study session. It does not happen just by magically pushing a button and saying, I'm going to be confident, and boop, I have my fluency identity. I'm working. Yay. It actually happens very similarly to how it happened to you in your native tongue. Gradually, organically, and through repeated contact and exposure with real language in real context over real time. There are 3 layers to it. I'll tell you the first layer, and it does have to do with being aware of it. And I'll tell you a quick story about myself. Look, I was born in Miami. My parents are Latinos. And if you know anything about Miami, you know that in Miami, most people speak Spanish. It's basically the main language here, right? Okay. So I didn't really grow up using idioms. I didn't really grow up using phrases to match my identity. But when I became aware, which you guys are becoming aware now, that people use idioms to show their personality, I activated my active listening. Anytime I would hear a native use an idiom, a structure, a phrase, a collocation, I would think, what are they trying to tell me about themselves? How are they trying to position themselves? What perception do they want me to have of them? Because then I understood every single idiom and phrase that people used most of the time was for a specific purpose. It wasn't just to decorate what they were saying. And 2 things happened here. 1, I became more aware of which phrases I needed to use to match my identity. But 2, I started being able to really not only memorize these phrases and these idioms, but to truly absorb them to the point where it just felt natural to me. So whenever someone is using an idiom or a phrasal verb or a structure, think, why are they using it? Right? First, you have to know what it means, right? Which if obviously you have a trained teacher, then that can help a lot. But once you know what it means, then you're able to understand why they used it. What are they trying to tell me about themselves? What identity are they trying to transmit? And then you yourself can understand now that when you use an idiom or a phrasal verb, you're trying to do the same thing. And that's actually the second layer, absorption. You want to absorb the phrases, make them your own, and start using it in different contexts. See how people react to you when you use it. Are they reacting positively? Because remember, it's not just about you saying, this is my identity, this phrase matches me. It's about seeing how others react to it. Do they respond naturally? Do they understand it? Do they just change the subject? These things matter. The more you use the phrases, the idioms, the structures that match your identity, the more natural it will feel in front of others and for yourself as well. It's like that trail that we talked about. The more you walk on that trail, the less grass there will be and the more of a pathway you will create. That pathway is your identity. So let me just summarize everything because I actually said the 3 layers in one go. The first layer is being aware of it and listening to when others use phrases. What are they trying to say about themselves? What's their identity? The second one is absorption. See which of those phrases you're exposed to actually match your identity. Internalize them, contextualize them, right? Which means to put them in different contexts. Invest in a teacher that helps you to find your identity, which is what we do, by the way. And then third, actually start using these phrases in different situations. The more you use them, the more comfortable you'll be, the more comfortable you will feel using them as well. And remember, don't wait for the perfect moment to use that phrase. Just use it, even if it's imperfectly. That way you can start doing it. And that's the moment fluency stops feeling like a performance. Not because you studied harder or because you overthought the vocabulary or the grammar. No, it's because you built built something different. So there you have it, my students. You've seen that fluency is not about overthinking the grammar rules. It's not about knowing the difference between in a meeting or at a meeting. No, it's built through phrases, through exposure, and through intentional practice. The question is now, what are you going to do with that information? 3 things. First, if you like these videos and you want more fluency identity tips, subscribe and like the video. We post every single week. Second, if you want to see another video where I go into detail about the fluency identity, watch this video next. It's called From Stuck to Fluent in 5 Months. And third, if you're ready to take your fluency to the next level and to finally find your personality in English, schedule a demo call down below to see if you qualify for my fluency identity course. That's all for now. See you next time.